Hey, what's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Chris Jack, the Canvas Nomad here, back with another one. And I know it's been a long time since I've been on live. It's just a lot of things that's been going on in my life. As you can see, the background, I recorded one of these before, but it didn't work somehow. So this is actually be the first one that I'm doing. And as like I said, as you can see, the background, I am in Nairobi, Kenya. And I gotta say, this has been quite the experience. I've been here for a couple weeks now. Um, for a while, I was planning on to just not necessarily drop YouTube, but I really found a love for like writing on Medium, and it just kind of helps me get my thoughts off. But after my experience the other day here in Nairobi, I kind of got it. I felt like I just wanted to like share what's going on and just keep you guys updated and make sure my journal is still rocking because well, that's the whole point of what I was doing here is just letting you know what's going on in my life, leaving a little journal behind. And like I said, I was really gonna stop with it, but I kind of like just talking, you know what I mean, and getting it out there. So my experience in Nairobi is different. I can't do first impressions anymore because I've been here for a couple of weeks. But when I first got here, it was just weird. It was just different. It was just a bunch of different kind of feelings, you know. But one thing that I could honestly say is it just feels right being here. It's like a larger Caribbean, you know. The jet lag was crazy. I never, even when I went to Thailand, the jet lag wasn't this bad. The jet lag was not bad at all. I don't think I even had jet lag in Thailand. Here, for some reason, I don't know if it's the higher altitude, which you don't even realize. I don't know if it's the higher altitude or what it is, but you just feel like you're just tired. I slept for like a day and a half. No lie. I think I landed the Tuesday. I slept all day Wednesday for the most part. And then I was feeling like myself like Thursday afternoon. So I just kind of stayed in, relaxed. I figured, tomorrow's another day. And then that Friday, I went to the KIC, which is like one of the tallest buildings here in Nairobi. It's actually where I Show Speed did his launch, where he hit a milestone, a subscriber milestone. I was there. We went through CBD, which is this area that I had to take my earring off. I had to take my necklace off. Like it's one of those areas where they said, like be careful because anything could happen. You never know. It's just the day. It's just downtown Nairobi, But what else did I do? I went to the government buildings. I went to some Maasai market. Come to find out, there's a bunch of them, and I'll tell you straight up: if you hear anything above 1,000 shillings, say no. I'll never forget. Later on, maybe like a week and a half later, I went somewhere and this person had offered me a hat and he said 3,500 shillings. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I heard him, the same exact guy, offer somebody else, but they were talking in Swahili. And then he said 300 shillings. And I was just like, that's crazy. So you got to understand, like, you're going to get the foreign tax. It just is what it is. They hear your accent, especially if you say where you're from, they're going to definitely hike the prices on you. And they definitely did that to me, right? What else? Uh, that was at the market. I bought a lot of stuff. I bought some souvenirs for my family and stuff. But I definitely overpaid by a lot. I got some soccer jerseys. I got a bunch of stuff. Maybe I should have wore the soccer jersey. I don't really pre-plan these things. I kind of just get in the mood and I just jump on here and just talk. Um, what else can I say? It's been a great time here. I gotta say, Like sooner or later, you get comfortable walking outside. You realize it's really not that serious. I still wouldn't walk late at night, but it was pretty cool to realize you could just walk and it's really not like you're not in danger. But of course, there's certain areas you can be, but that's like anywhere in the world, you know. I personally am in Kilimani right now. You have the Westlands; those are like the two hot spots. Kilimani's more the party life. Westlands is more like luxury and stuff. You have Kilusha. You know, you have different areas. Think about it. I wouldn't necessarily say think about it. Y'all know I'm from New York, so I wouldn't really sit there and say it's like the boroughs, but just think like within each borough there are certain communities, and you're going from you're going from Bay Ridge to Sunset Park, or from LES to Lower East Side. It's just, I mean, well, same thing. My bad, but you're going basically to another neighborhood in that certain borough. Think about it like that. It's kind of like that here, but it's huge. Just for perspective, Nairobi has 6 million people in it, and New York City has like 5.5. So that'll give you like a good range of like how many people are here, and the size of how Nairobi is big. But I like it. I like it. It just feels right. It just feels like home. I definitely see myself coming back. I went to the archives. I thought that was cool. I didn't know dreadlocks is from Kenya. That that was like wait, what? As a West Indian, I'm thinking, that's mainly a Jamaican, hairstyle. No, it has nothing to do with that at all. Rastafaris adopted that. That is actually from the Momo or Mau Mau people, the freedom fighters. And around the 70s, this was considered something where, if you were wearing dreads, you were looked as bad. It's funny because in the States it kind of had the similar connotation. Not today, but back then, absolutely. So it's just interesting. I learned about Jomo Kenyatta, which was a president. I think his story is very similar to Nelson Mandela, except he didn't do 20 years. He did 7 years, but it's ultimately the same thing. I went to the Masai Mara. That was cool. Had no idea the Lion King is based out of here. I didn't know Hakuna Matata was actually a Swahili saying. I've been saying that my entire life, and I said it here one time, and somebody was like, "Oh, you know Swahili?" I was like, "Nah, it was from the Lion King." They was like, "No, that's Swahili. The Lion King's from here." I was like, "Wait, what?" It was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. I will say it was like really playing Pokemon in real life. You're driving around, you're looking for the animals, and then all of a sudden you spot an animal and you're like, "Oh, grab the phone." And instead of throwing a Pokeball, you grab your phone and snap, Um, I personally will tell you that although I enjoyed it and I'm glad I did it, I don't know if I'll do it again. I just think for what you pay, it ain't really worth it, but it is something that, like, I guess maybe you want to like just check off. I did do the hot air balloon experience over there. That was pretty cool. Um that was dope. That saved the trip. I'll say that saved the trip. But I'm sorry. I can't. You can't give me food part of the package and then tell me I gotta order drinks. Fine. Alcohol, I get. Juice, I don't really get. But if that's what I had to order, that's fine. Water. You telling me I can't even get water? Nah, something's wrong with that. Something is wrong with that. It's funny because I had a bunch of experiences with that, but like that experience was probably the experience that really like threw everything off for me. But outside of that, I'd say the second day I was there for a couple of days. The second day was the longest, and we did like maybe including the hot air balloon, it might have been like a total of, I don't know, 11 hours. But if you just stick to where I was in the truck, the land cruiser, let's say the drive all day probably was about 8 hours, 9 hours. I might have seen animals for maybe 3 of those hours. The other 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours was just driving, looking for animals. So I think if I ever do come back, which I think is a very strong possibility, um, you want to go to like Nakuru, Navasha, maybe even Amboseli, the smaller safaris, because they have pretty much the same amount of animals, but it's not as wide open space. So you'll see more pretty quickly. No, Masai Mara is very big. You can literally drive from one end to the other, and it could take you a good 3 hours. So um, it's huge. It's a lot of driving. It's a lot. I saw lions. I saw a cheetah. I saw two cheetahs actually. I saw a leopard. I only saw one leopard, and I think it was like a baby leopard because it was really small. And if that's an adult sized leopard, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't think leopards were that small. Like I feel like if a leopard attacked me and that was like an adult sized leopard, I feel like I'd have a chance in winning. You know what I mean? It was like I feel like I'd have a chance in winning. Be honest with you. Um, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'd probably lose against a domestic cat, so I probably won't win against a leopard. But the size of it just makes me feel confident that you can survive this encounter. Now the lion, that it was huge. Like that was a big, and I don't know if you've seen if y'all follow my Instagram or I think I've posted it on YouTube, but I've pet a tiger. I've pet some of the biggest tigers, I've pet some of the smallest tigers. I didn't know at the time, the controversy behind how Thailand allows you to pet the tigers, but at the time I did it, and the lion was probably bigger than that. So it was huge. And it's different because they're not like domestic, you can't domesticate a wildcat, but like they're not like trained like the tigers are in Thailand. So you can't get out the car. Even though when we landed in the hot air balloon, we landed in the same grass that the lions be eating the gazelles in. Like we landed in that grass. Like at any point, a wild animal, even a snake, could have, whatever. But what was cool though is they drove us like maybe 5-10 minutes, and we ate breakfast in that area too. And there was like a hyena that like walked by. It was pretty cool. And they had these big tables with a whole bunch of utensils, and they tried to get us drunk. They was giving us mimosas and all this stuff. It was a pretty cool experience. The hot air balloon part of it is expensive, but it's definitely, definitely, definitely worth it. And I think that saved my trip to Masai Mara. Another thing that was cool that I did, I did a couple things. I went, restaurants and stuff. I didn't do any clubbing, which I don't know how I came to Nairobi and didn't experience the nightlife. Maybe I still will. I still got a couple of days, but I do got to leave early because work is calling me back. So I don't know. Maybe it is, what's today? Friday. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Who knows? And if I do, I'll come back on here and do another live. But I'll sit there and tell you that um, I did go to the second largest slums in the entire world, right behind the city of God in Brazil. It's called Kibera. Now, has 1.9 million people. Mind you, I told you Nairobi has 6. So these slums have a third of Nairobi's people in it. And there's a lot of trash. I'll tell you that there's a lot. There's a lot of trash. Listen to me. There's a lot of trash. It's ridiculous. Some of the homes are made out of wood. Some of the you don't really have um how to say it, like piping in the houses because they're made out of some of them are made out of dirt and wood. Some of them, like if you ever been to the Caribbean and you see those shack houses with the wavy metal roofs and sides, some of them are made out of that. Like it's almost like they find anything to just make houses out of. And I ate there. I had some wine there, some traditional wine. Like it was a whole. It was dope. They have to share these bathrooms, like I said, because there's no piping. So everybody pretty much gets to meet everybody in the neighborhood going to one of these communal bathrooms, and they got to pay $1.50 a month. $1.50 a month to use it. They also they have these houses that's $10 a year, and I promise you, they look like townhouses. It's crazy, and it's for the people to try to get a better life out of it. So once you get one of those, you don't let that go. $10 a year, that's wild. And then it's right next to what I guess you can call Little Ethiopia. The Ethiopians here, they stay to themselves. Again, they don't even try to learn the English. They don't learn English. They don't know Swahili. Some of them, of course, obviously are going to integrate, but for the most part, they stay to themselves in that little area. And from what I understand, I walked through the whole thing and walked back to my Airbnb here in Kilimani. So this is not far at all. It's right there in that direction. And it's crazy how I'm in a condo here, and walking distance is the second largest slums in the entire world. Like Africa's just different. Like you'll find a skyscraper, maybe not a skyscraper, but you'll find a high rise, and right next to it is like a shack, and then debris all in front of it. But then there's some people sitting in a chair just rubbing their shoes. And I'm just like, y'all don't know what y'all want to be, huh? Y'all can't decide if you want to be the modern, the old, you just want to be country, or you just want to say, fuck it, I don't care. Let me shine some shoes right in front of this, right at the corner of the street. Like, it's just weird. Like, everybody is just, I love it. I love it. It's just, to me, it's a bigger Caribbean. Like, I look at, what is this road? I think I was gonna say Killmonger Road. It ain't Killmonger Road. It's something Kill, right? Isn't it? And you're you look at that and it just reminds me to a certain degree Trinidad, but like there's debris everywhere. Like it when you look at some of the locations, it looks like people started, they had a great idea, and then halfway through the construction of it, they either lost budget and they was like, "I forget it, we're done," or like they just decided, you know what, there's a new shiny toy over here. I'd rather go play with that over there. It's just like I don't know if they don't care to finish the construction, but it just looks like everywhere you go, the construction is just half done. I it's like the weirdest thing. But then you got like right across, you got a building that's under construction, but it's not being constructed. Like nobody's in it. Then across the street, you probably got one of the best restaurants in CJ's. Um, and then you got a gas station. You got a Quick Mart. Quick Mart is like Walmart technically. Uh, it's kind of like their one-stop shop, but like if like the best thing I can compare to it is a Walmart, but it's disrespectful to compare it to Walmart, if you know what I'm trying to say. It's just it's not in a league of its own, but it's at the same time their version of what you can find um at a Quick Mart, in a one-stop shop. They got supermarket, they got everything you get from milk to sugar to cereal to couches to TVs to alcohol to lamps. You can get whatever you need. You go there. Oh, and it's open 24/7. So there's that, right? Um, and if you look through my Google reviews and stuff, you'll see all the locations I've been. I'll try to put it in the description. My Google Maps profile. You'll see all the locations I've been and see like the pictures that I've posted. You can see what's in there in terms of the Quick Mart. But like I said, all the locations are there, all the pictures are there, whatever the case may be. But it's just weird. It's just different. It's just different. It's just different. I can say it's like Trinidad, but it's really not. I can say it's like a bigger Caribbean, but like in the Caribbean, like I went to somebody's house, and no, I kid you not, this is in the country. This was in Nairobi. It was like closer to this was like closer to Masai Mara. This is near Naruk or whatever it is. That's like on the way, but like we like in the backyard. There's giraffes, just not giraffes, zebras just chilling. I'm like, yo, that like they could do that, you know what I mean? But it's what's also interesting is yes, there were zebras in her backyard, right? Fine. However, we're on the drive from Nairobi to Masai Mara. It's a 6-hour drive, right? But for us, it took like 8 because you're gonna do some stops, and you're driving and you're driving through grassland and like somewhat of like a farmland type of environment, and you're seeing cows, you're seeing goats, you're seeing all of these stuff, but you're not really seeing wild animals like I thought they were. They were just mainly on the national reserve. At least that's what I thought. But then on the drive back, I'm seeing baboons just being on the side of the highway. And then I talked to people, and they was like, yeah, if you take this certain road, don't be surprised if you see a cheetah in the middle of the road. But then I drove 6 hours to Masai Mara, and all I saw was cows and goats. Kid you not. I ain't see no zebras, I ain't see no gazelles, no wildebeest, nothing like that until I got to the actual reserve. So it was just weird. But again, I can't judge this because Kenya is a whole country. That's like saying, oh, I'm judging all of New York, and I only went to like Brooklyn. You can't judge all of New York that way. First of all, there's 5 other boroughs, not to mention 2 counties over there in Long Island. And then you got all of upstate. So you can't really judge New York on Brooklyn. So I can't really talk about Kenya based on Nairobi, Naruk, and Masai Mara. But at the same time, I feel like I've spread my wings a little bit here. And I could at least have an input. It just may not have as much value as someone who stays here long term, or you know, I've been here, like I said, 3 weeks. I was supposed to be here for the entire month, but I got to go back to work. So it's not even like I did it like that long, but you know, it wasn't like I was here for a week either, you know? So, I don't know if what I think about Africa actually is how it is everywhere else, but I tell you, here in Nairobi, you're not really seeing crazy, wildlife like that. Here in Nairobi, you're definitely not going to see it. I will you see insects that you probably never seen before? Maybe it could happen. I don't think so. I haven't, but that doesn't mean it's not out the realm of possibility. But I tell you, once you go further that way, you will see it. I know I saw some insects. I was like, I don't know what. And my Samara, I was just hearing Ferraris and Lamborghinis fly by my ear. I was like, that is the biggest dinosaur of an insect I've ever seen in my life. But that was over, where it makes sense. Another thing about my Samara, the rooms don't got no Wi-Fi. I can understand back in the day where they're like, we want to get you in tune with nature. That's why we don't put Wi-Fi here. But your cell phone service works there. So it's like, you might as well get with the times. You know what I mean? What else? I went to the downtown archives. I said that already. Masai Mara. Oh, I went to the village I was talking about, Kibera. My bad. I get off on a tangent. So that is actually the same village, by the way, that Barack Obama's his tribe is from. So he actually walked through as a senator before his first term. He walked through and he did his little meet and greet and walked through the environment. And I walked through those same streets. It was kind of crazy. But what was also insane was there's a school there that these girls are rescued, and they kind of, you gonna just say that in the middle of me doing a video. These girls are rescued, and they go to this school. So the school is for the kids in the community, but it's also to rescue Maasai women and women, children, girls to go to the school. But then they also have a medical facility that's for the entire community. So the school is very important. Now here I am walking through, high fiving all the students and everything like that. It was crazy. I don't know how I ended up there, but it was a dope experience, and I think I'm gonna keep in contact with them because I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I can add philanthropy to my list of just randomness. But um, it was like that was probably the experience that I had meeting with those kids, and I've recorded all of this. So like sooner or later, I'm gonna go back. I tried to start doing the whole video thing, and I just wasn't feeling it. But I have it all recorded, everything from my first country to today, and I will start to compile it as um, more edited videos where you can sit there, and I'm not trying to be this great YouTuber, but I have the footage. I might as well do something with it, right? And just put it in my journal, something you guys can watch and see what I've done. But it was a cool experience being with it. The guidance counselor took me on a tour throughout the whole thing. I'll put the shorts of these things now because I recorded it in short form as well. So I got both, long form and shorts, and I'll put those up probably way before I do the videos. But I will get back to those. But yeah, it was just a great experience being here. There's a Chinatown here. First of all, I didn't expect that there to be so many Caucasians here. That like blew my mind. But it just feels right. So like in America, the amount of the if you sit in a room, you look around the room, the amount of white people you would be what you would see here in Kenya. And the amount of black people you would see in that same room is probably the amount of white people you would see here. So let's say America's what, 13%, no, 12% black, 13% Spanish, and what, 5% Asian, the rest is Caucasian. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that. Except in inverse. You will find this the group that I was with in the hot air balloon, they were all Spanish. In fact, the the instructor, the captain, gave his instructions in Spanish. And it was wild that I followed what he was saying. I can't speak Spanish at all. I'm not fluent in it, but I can understand it. And it was just insane that I knew what he was saying, even though I didn't know what he was saying. You know what I mean? Like, it was just weird. So hopefully I can finally add being fluent in Spanish to my list sooner or later in life. But I did understand it, so that kind of felt good. And it's wild that in Africa is where I felt that. It is what it is. But yeah, Africa was needed. And as for my goal of all 7 countries before I'm 40, I have about a year and a half left. I have essentially 2 continents left, but technically 3 because I've only been to Latin America, not necessarily South America, but I've been to a bunch of places in Latin America. So to me, it feels like I've been in South America, but I'll officially touch all 3. Australia, Antarctica, I'm going to try to save for my 40th birthday, and South America will probably be at the end of this year. So, yeah, Africa. We're gonna finish that, and then I'll probably the first place I'll come back to will probably be Africa. I hear Uganda is a place I gotta go to. I was shocked when some guy in the elevator was like, "No, you need to go to Rwanda." I was shocked. I did not go to Mombasa. I'm West Indian. I grew up on a beach, not really, but I did. So like the fact that it was a beach wasn't really calling me, but Mombasa or Diani is our places if you're coming to Kenya that you should visit. When I was doing the hot air balloon, I met this couple from Ohio, and they were on their honeymoon. I thought that was fire, like doing a safari for your honeymoon. And they had just came back from Naivasha, but they started in I think it was Diani. So Kenya has it, man. Kenya isn't a bad country. Like I really think we need to start like glorifying Africa a little bit more because it's beautiful. It ain't luxury. That's probably why, this isn't France. This isn't Italy. Like, I don't know. I just have a distaste for Western Europe. I went there. I was there 2 months ago. I was in Ireland. Belfast was pretty cool. I ain't gonna lie, I did like Belfast, but it just doesn't call my, it doesn't call my name. You know what I mean? Like, I like my third world countries, and some of these countries ain't even third world. I know it's based on the way the government runs its country, its country, which is why it's called third world. It doesn't mean that necessarily the technological advancements or how convenient society is there. Because, well, El Salvador is probably considered third world, and that is by far not a third world country. Um, Costa Rica, I wouldn't consider that, maybe second world for those two. Thailand, definitely not. But these are third world countries, so it is what it is. But Africa, I can understand where the third world element comes into play completely. Not even Africa, Kenya. But I'll tell you, I have Wi-Fi here. I'm in a high rise. Everything is good. I got everything I need here. I got everything I need here. I don't have Amazon Prime. Whoa, I'm sorry. No, not even Amazon Prime. I got that. I don't have Amazon delivered to my door. I'm sorry. One thing I don't like is Disney Plus is not allowed here. So you don't get your Hulu, you don't get Disney Plus. And X-Men 97 season 2 just came out. I'm very upset about that. I will be returning soon so I can go home to watch it, but why I can't watch it here? You know what I mean? That blows mine. But I definitely would recommend Kenya to anybody. I really would. I really would. You're definitely gonna have to be prepared because, like I said, it's not luxury. It isn't luxury, but you can find your luxury within Kenya. But it's Kenya itself is not luxury. Nairobi itself is not luxury. But I enjoyed myself here. So if you're looking to be in like Tahiti or Bora Bora or one of these, the Bahamas, you're not getting that here. You may get that in Diani. I'm gonna lie to you, but you're definitely not getting Italy here. You're not getting France here. You're not getting London. I was just in London. You're not getting London here. But I think for what it is, it's perfect. I could see myself living here. Put it like that. I could see myself living here. Now, would I choose living over here over Vietnam? Probably not. I like Vietnam. That right now is still like top. If I were to ever finally become a global citizen and become an expat, Vietnam is probably at the top. Thailand has too many distractions, so I wouldn't choose it. But if it were to be Thailand, it'd be Chiang Mai, and then Kenya. I think I'm going to Colombia at the end of the year. It's either Colombia or Brazil, and Bolivia, and then try to go to Brazil or Colombia. So I'll see how those places are. But kind of depends on. I'm actually not going necessarily solo. I'm going to Bolivia with someone because I think Bolivia right now has like turmoil. So I'm a little afraid to go by myself there. Not necessarily afraid, but I'd rather someone who knows the lay of the land, and I really want to see that mirror sand desert. I want to be able to say I went there. So Bolivia has to be on the list, but then that person is going to go home, and then I'll choose either Brazil or Colombia and go solo. But yeah, it would probably that might be another place that I would choose, but I'll tell you, if that's it. It'd be the top 5 would be probably those 2 places that I haven't been to, so I can't really say. Brazil, Colombia. I mean, Rio or maybe Medellin, Cartagena. I don't know. I've never gone. Everybody's telling me Cali is a place to go. Whatever. Of course, El Salvador is still my first love. If Costa Rica wasn't so expensive, I would choose there. But really, Vietnam is almost in first place. I love Vietnam. I like Thailand. There's just too many distractions, and a lot of there's a movement online that I don't know if it's still as strong as it used to be. I met a bunch of them, and a lot of them are cool. But like going to a place just to do that, I just think, You know what I mean? Like, there's so much more. That's just the icing on the cake. Why are you going only for the icing? Eat the cake. Um, Pun intended. But yeah, Kenya is definitely on that list. I can see there's a guy who stayed here a while ago. I won't mention his name, but if you're within the community, you already know he's not lying at all about this location. This is a great location. That I have experienced the nightlife, but I could tell you, like, Nairobi's probably the party. You haven't partied until you partied here, based on just being in the environment. Like, I was shocked when I first landed and I was driving up here. By the way, Chinatown is right down the block, which is wild. Anyway, I pulled up and Vibes Cartel was blasting out of this car. I was like, word. So I'm pulling out my suitcase. Another car pull up, Marshall Montano playing out. I'm like, is Africa? Because when I was in Asia, you didn't have no soca, no reggae. So I was kind of bothered by that. Here, it's all they play. I love it here. I'm sorry, I love it here. Soca, reggae, Afrobeats. That's all you hear. Now imagine that. Oh, and the club closes at 5. So now you're getting that for like 7 hours. Oh, there's certain clubs like Club Gemini is right across the street. I'm like right down from the Yaya Center, if anybody knows. Club Gemini is right across the street, literally right across the street, and in the Ad Life Center, and they have 3 clubs in the mall. The club is in the mall, which is wild. But the club is inside the mall, and on the first floor you had the Red Room. The second floor you got Club Gemini, and on the third one you have one that starts with an S. I forget what it is. And they're all right there, so you can just leave one, come downstairs, leave the other one, and just keep going to the. So it's a packed at night is packed. And I remember my first night, I was stupid. I don't know, shoot me, but I walked out at like 3 a.m. just to see if I get something to eat, and then I just kind of didn't get a good feeling being out at 3 a.m. as a foreigner the first night. It's probably a very dumb thing for me to do, but I did it. And all you heard was just the amalgamation of music from the 3 places, and you just saw a crowd outside. So I can only imagine what it was like inside the mall, much less inside the 3 clubs, you know. And I was like, this is pretty dope. Still didn't go, but that's the experience. I did I lie. I did go to Club Gemini, but not the club. Like, I went in there because someone was like, hey, let's get a drink. And I was like, all right, I don't really want to do the club. They was like, all right, well, it's the only place to go. So we went there, got a drink. I was there for a minute. There might have been 5 people in the place. Why? Because the clubs are pretty much open all day. It's wild. It's wild. It opens, I don't know what time it opens, but I tell you, by noon, it's open till 5 a.m. So you can go in there at any time and experience, chill. There's no party until you've partied in Nairobi. That's what they say. This is a long one, but I did a lot. So this is an update. It feels good to be back on here. I haven't been on here in a while, and it feels good. It really does feel good. I won't lie. Well, this is Canvas Nomad, and this is another YouTube live. And if you made it this far in the YouTube video, you, my friend, are certainly appreciated. Peace. Okay, this is awkward, right?